Hi, I'm Jeffrey, and this is AutoAlchemy, the intersection between typology and self-growth. And today, I'm finally going to be taking the 16 personalities test. Let go! First of all, I should say welcome back to the channel. Thank you for supporting my content, and if you want early access to videos like this, as well as bonus content, don't forget to check out my Buy Me a Coffee page. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to be taking the 16 personalities test. Now, this is not the first time that I've taken the test for myself. I've taken it years ago. I don't even remember what my results were. I think I got a few different results when I tried to take it in the past. But this is the first time that I'm taking the 16 personalities test for my channel. I've been taking a bunch of different tests lately. If you want to watch some of them, you know where to go. I'm not gonna hold your hand. You can do this. I feel confident in you. In any case, yeah, today I'm taking the 16 personalities test, and if you don't know much about it, it is something that I've criticized quite a bit in the past. At the same time, I think it's a fun introduction to personality typology. Let's read a little bit about it. So obviously this is going to be your portal to being understood, to finally seeing yourself clearly, and then maybe you'll have the words to explain to your friends and your family, hey, this is who I am, treat me accordingly. You know, the 16 personalities test is built around these cute little animated avatars. It's a very popular way for people to access and learn about type. This guy right here is actually the ENTP, so you're probably gonna see a resemblance, and if you don't, well, it's only because he's not wearing glasses, that's why. So unlike most Jungian personality tests, you don't get a 4-letter code, you get a 5-letter code. In addition to the IESFJ dichotomies, you also get assertive versus turbulent. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that later. The reason that you get 5 letters is that, let's see, this particular approach to personality is trying to unite the Myers-Briggs approach with the Big 5 approach. So in the Big 5 personality scale, you've got openness to experience, conscientiousness, agreeableness, neuroticism, and extroversion. Should have been easy. I forgot which ones I had said. And so this is trying to map some of those categories onto the Jungian categories. And in doing so, I suppose it's trying to make things a little more scientifically acceptable. In my personal opinion, while there is some value to this, and like I said, it can be fun to do the 16 personalities test, but in my personal opinion, it misses the mark in a lot of ways because the Jungian ideas are so thought-provoking and powerful if you have a proper understanding of them. So that's the place that I'm critiquing this from when I am generally critiquing it. But in any case, let's take a look at the test. Why don't we just dive in? Oh gosh, okay, so you regularly make new friends. I'm gonna say that I don't strongly disagree, but I disagree. I'm not really going out of my way to meet people, and during the pandemic, that's obviously not happening. Random topics that pique your interest, absolutely. In fact, I even do it when I don't have free time, when I should be occupying myself with more productive stuff. So that's a problem, but that's a problem for later. Seeing other people cry can easily make you feel like you want to cry too. This is sort of hard to answer. I want to say that I actually do agree, but I don't agree as strongly as I could agree. It really depends on the person, but if I'm attached to you, if you are within my bubble, then yeah, the emotions can often be contagious. You make a backup plan for a backup plan. That's not true. I will sometimes try to make a backup plan. Just trying to flex my preparedness right now. You know, I really am peacocking a little bit, but I would never make a backup plan for the backup plan, but this is something that I would like to start doing in the future. It's an area where I would like to grow. You can stay calm even under a lot of pressure. I disagree with this, and I also don't think it's particularly typology related. To throw it back to the original psychoanalysts, I think this has more to do with ego strength. So How much pressure can you withstand? And once you reach your breaking point, I feel like that's when your psychological type is actually most apparent, once you start relying on automatic programs more so. At social events, you rarely try to introduce yourself to new people and mostly talk to the ones you already know. Actually, I slightly disagree with this. I don't like to introduce myself to new people, but I understand that it's necessary, and I understand that it's going to be awfully awkward if I don't go out of my way to do it. You prefer to finish one project before starting another? Actually, no. I typically have so many projects going on simultaneously that I can barely keep up with them, and often I will forget about a project that was put on the back burner only to rediscover it later, and then I have to make a decision about whether or not I want to pursue it again. So this, I'm just going to say, strongly disagree. Am I very sentimental? Not very. I can be a little sentimental. Nothing wrong with that. Organizing tools like schedules and lists. I'm actually going to say middle of the road. Now that's not an answer that I would have given you 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but I've been trying to rely on these tools a little more as I get older. I mean, I know I don't look it, but I'm 31 years old, which means I have to start trying to take more responsibility for my life and control the outcome of my life. I can't just have horrible things happen because I'm being blind to one area of life. I don't want that. I want to be the best person I can be. I want to have as many tools at my disposal as possible. So, yeah, I'm sure if you guys haven't seen it, you should check out my calendar video. Ever since I made that video, I've been using a Google Calendar, and it's really changed my life. And now I make a lot of lists, and I check through them, and it feels really good. So don't ignore the possibility that you might enjoy them as well, even if it's not your natural predisposition to do so. Small mistake can cause you to doubt your overall abilities and knowledge. I'm actually going to go middle of the road, agree, because I think as a lead intuitive type, and especially someone who is double activated on my intuition, it's very often the case that I will gloss over details, and so not knowing the details but having a higher level abstract understanding of things, I often make mistakes. It's only natural. I'm not taking time to fully understand each element procedurally speaking, and so I make mistakes, and then I suddenly realize that I don't have this encyclopedic knowledge about things, which is ultimately what I want, and that's just very incompatible with who I actually am, temperamentally speaking. You feel comfortable walking up to someone you find interesting and striking up a conversation? Slightly disagree. I think primarily because I don't want people to do that to me. Usually if I'm in a place, I have an objective, and that objective is very rarely to have a random, temporary one-on-one interaction. You are not too interested in discussing various interpretations and analyses of creative works. I do like discussing interpretations and analyses. Maybe not as much as I previously thought that I did. This is something that I would have bragged about when I was younger. Like, of course, I'm always doing this, but I'm not always doing this. I'm occasionally doing it, and I really like it when I'm doing it. You are more inclined to follow your head than your heart. Yeah, I mean, I think this is actually only a slight agree. I try to be pretty balanced between the head and the heart, thinking and feeling. Yeah, you have to have a healthy respect for all of these different elements in your psyche. And if you don't, you're eventually going to leave some sort of vacuum. You're going to create some sort of piling up of the other perspective, and it's going to demand your attention. Do I prefer doing what I feel like at any given moment? Hell yeah. You rarely wonder whether you made a good impression on people you meet. I do wonder if I've made a good impression on people, but I'm not haunted by that fact. I'm not overly processing it. Usually it's something that I'll consider, and then I'll let go. I'll surrender and let the dominoes fall wherever they may. Slightly disagree. You enjoy participating in group activities. Slightly disagree. You like books and movies that make you come up with your own interpretation of the ending. Yeah, I strongly agree with this. I actually think that that is one of the purposes, perhaps, of literature, especially in this modern era. Happiness comes from helping others. Moderately disagree. Interested in so many things. Yeah, that's like the problem for me in my life. Slightly agree that I worry about things taking a turn for the worse. It used to be way more unmanageable whenever I was a kid, but now I only catastrophize a couple times a month, maybe. Yeah, I don't like that. I think that people should make decisions for themselves and that we should all be relating to one another as individuals. There is a role for leadership in life, but it's not my default. I think that I am an artistic type of person. Moderately disagree. The world would be a better place if people relied more on rationality and less on their feelings. Well, complicated, because obviously I believe that all things should be in balance, and so my answer to this question is going to be dependent upon where I think the imbalance is currently. I'm just going to go middle of the road. You prefer to do your chores before allowing yourself to relax. No, I'd rather relax first. You enjoy watching people argue. Strongly disagree. I don't enjoy that. Typically, I don't see people making any headway when they're arguing, so then it ends up being this very self-serving, egotistical game. It doesn't accomplish anything. It's purely an optical illusion. You tend to avoid drawing attention to yourself. I'm gonna say middle of the road. I don't really like to draw attention to myself, but then again, I do have a YouTube channel. Your mood can change very quickly. I think slightly disagree. For the most part, I am pretty even keel. You lose patience with people who are not as efficient as you. Yeah, I do, which is not good given the work that I do because I'm often helping people. You often end up doing things at the last possible moment. Yeah, moderately agree, but there was a point in my life when I would have said, I am all in on this. Death. Yes, I've been a very existentially oriented person ever since I was a kid. I had a lot of questions about death when I was younger. You prefer to be around others and on your own. I like to be around a chosen few, the special people in my life. I'm going to say slightly disagree. You become bored when the discussion gets highly theoretical. I mean, it depends on the theory. I'm going to say mostly disagree. I find it easy to empathize with a person whose experiences are very different from yours. Actually, yeah, moderately agree. I think that I'm a pretty empathetic person. Usually postpone finalizing decisions for as long as possible. Yeah, I'm somewhere in the moderately agree camp. You rarely second guess the choices that you've made. Moderately agree. A lively social event, no. Alright, so I got the mediator, the INFP, and I am turbulent, which I think means that I fall into the neurotic category, meaning I am susceptible to emotional volatility. I think that's what that means. I might take this opportunity to explain some of my criticisms of this particular approach to personality. So, first of all, with the extroverted and introverted dichotomy, I think that this goes off the rails by focusing too much on the conventional definition of introversion versus extroversion. It's all about how recharged you feel after a party, or do people drain you? I think that's utterly ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. I feel like, obviously there are bell curves when you're talking about this stuff, and the number of people who could honestly say that they don't feel drained after being with a bunch of people is minimal. People have batteries, so metaphorically speaking, people get drained. It's just what happens. Additionally, the introversion-extroversion dichotomy, according to Carl Jung, was less about that social recharge kind of energetic notion and more about subject versus object. You can be somebody who is more conventionally introverted, somebody who is more withdrawn from the world, somebody who is more focused on their own thoughts, ideas, whatever, and simultaneously be completely absorbed in the object as opposed to the subject. Your entire psychological energy could be flowing towards some sort of external object some sort of external phenomenon, your favorite TV show, whatever, to the point that you become alienated from your own thoughts or your own feelings or your own sensations or whatever. So that just doesn't really make sense except in a modern framework where the terms have been slightly warped. But then again, the 16 Personalities website did admit that they don't think about cognitive functions at all on one of the pages that I was looking at. So yeah, they're not exactly talking about the same thing as other Jungian personality tests would be talking about. And then on the topic of the thinking versus the feeling, I mean, in objective personality terms, I am double activated on my extroverted feeling, so it's going to be about as strong as it can be for an ENTP. Not only that, I have feminine extroverted feelings, so I'm going to be very flexible and movable with the tribe. I'm going to work with other people, accommodate them, so that I can then get back to the lab and focus on the introverted thinking. I'm not going to try to raise too much of a fuss about things. It doesn't make a lot of sense that a Jungian INFP would have such a balance between the thinking and the feeling. Alright, so that was the 16 Personalities website. I explained some of my critiques of this entire framework, while simultaneously explaining why I think you can sometimes convert portions of your actual personality type into this particular framework. Obviously, it's not going to work for everyone, but yeah, sometimes it takes a little bit of interpretation if you're going to look at something like this. For me, I think probably the biggest problem with this particular test is that it's taking all of this rich, varied information about a person's personality. I personally think that there are at least 9 relevant dimensions when it comes to a person's Jungian personality type. It's taking all of those dimensions and then trying to compress it and squeeze it into a smaller box. So naturally you're going to lose some of the subtlety, lose some of the information for the sake of something that's simple and fun and somewhat cute. So it's a trade-off. I know I gave it a tough time, but maybe you'll get something out of it if you haven't already taken it. And if you haven't already taken it, I'm a little bit surprised because this is like the gateway drug into more meaningful content like the kind that I release. In any case, guys, have a great day. Thank you for tuning into the video. I will catch you guys next time.